Welcome to the third episode of the Kernel Journal. I'm George and this is Whitney. On this episode, we wanted to come out to the field and look at how our first pass of spray has affected the weeds and stage the corn and discuss a couple topics that we've seen around the countryside. One of the big issues that we've seen here recently is soil erosion. Seen a lot of what we're calling sandblasting or negative effects on the plant, so we'll do a bit of a deep dive on that.
So we've sprayed the corn 13 days ago. It was sprayed on May 26th with glyphosate at 0.67 liters per acre and sortan at 30 grams per acre. And they used 7 gallons of water. So that was a bit of a miscommunication between me and the sprayer. But so far what we're seeing is that growth has stopped. It's been 13 days. So typically it takes at least 2 weeks to see your full effect of symptoms. And there's a few spots along the tree line just to make sure that we weren't killing anything that is missed. And we can very obviously see that the spray has worked well. Growth has stopped in the plants, even though if you can see in the background, we're not seeing that total necrosis of the plants yet, but growth has stopped. When we sprayed, the corn was at 3 to 4 leaf stage. Now we're at about 5 going on 6. In the video, if you can see, there's some of the leaves look a little bit yellow. I think that's a combination between the frost that we had really early on in the season on the first couple leaves, along with that sandblasting that George was talking about, and we've had some pretty severe winds lately too. So combination of all of that, but the important part is that the new leaf is growing and healthy. The important thing, which is sometimes hard to do, is usually when the plant is this young, not much stuff should have been at that 5 leaf or further stage before we got those really big winds. And typically your growing point is below ground until at least 5 leaf. So although it's hard, try to just not look at the crop for 4 or 5 days and go back and see if that new leaf is coming in green and healthy. If it is, you know that your growing point wasn't affected and that your plant is going to recover, even though it looked a little bit sick for a few days there.
So on Whitney's point there, going around and evaluating some of these fields where we've seen quite a bit of a soil erosion and affected plants, we haven't seen any stands that we're concerned about, massive mortality or anything like that. Yes, we've lost quite a bit of vegetation above ground at this point, but as Whitney mentioned, give it a week here and it's going to look a lot different and a lot more positive in your field. So one thing we're doing out in the field here today is just looking and evaluating the varieties at this stage. One thing that I've definitely noticed over the last several weeks is 1340, which is a very popular variety in our area here. I'm seeing a lot more vigor and leaf mass on that variety throughout the plot. It's also a bit of a darker green compared to some of the other varieties, but I think in general, all the varieties we put in this plot here have been performing very well. One of the biggest concerns that I think we're all facing and discussing here over the last little bit is kind of a lack of moisture. Soil moisture looks decent here right now, but could definitely use an inch of rain to kind of pep things back up again.
So with most herbicides that we deal with in corn, the upper limit of spraying is 8 leaf stage. So we'll want to be looking, we're at 5 leaf right now. We'll want to be looking at that second pass probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks here, just to make sure we're within staging and we get any stragglers that poke through after we completed first pass, or if there was any weeds that didn't quite die as much as we wanted to with this first pass. So we're adding a new segment to the Kernel Journal. We've had some customers reach out with some questions now that we're in season and crops are growing. Our first question is coming from Jeff Nielsen out of Lacombe, and he was wondering what the ambient temperature is when corn stops growing.
So out of some research, and I guess you can say some experience and some literature that we've seen, when nighttime temperatures drop below 10 degrees, corn tends to stop growing and developing. On the flip side, when we see temperatures rise above 30 degrees, pending soil moisture, we can see some stress on those plants. And what you'll see later on this season is the leaves will start curling up, and that's heat stress. And that will also delay development on that crop as well too. So it's kind of a range there. We're getting into the season where we're going to start seeing a lot more heat. As mentioned before, we're really hoping for some more moisture to kind of come through and be more widespread in central Alberta here. But yeah, thanks for Jeff for submitting a question.
Just to touch on George's point there, it corn has a mechanism to conserve moisture, and that is the leaves curling up during the day. As long as they uncurl at night, there's not really a substantial yield loss concern there.
So at this point now, one thing we're really watching for is just weed development. It'll be interesting to see once we get another flush of moisture here what the weeds will bring on. So at this point, like I said, we're determining where the stand's at and what second pass looks like. Definitely keeping an eye on the canola that's in this field. As mentioned in earlier episodes, this field was canola last season. So far, I've been very pleased on how the plants look from a health standpoint. I don't think we've seen any hindrance from that at this point. So, um, yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that. The old saying is hopefully we're knee high by 4th of July. So please keep posted on our next episode. And yes, if you have any questions, please submit them to us and we'd love to address it on the Kernel Journal.